Welcome to the 3Gs, the podcast where we dive into the world of fitness from three unique angles on three generations as we bridge the generational gap, explore the diverse perspectives, and unravel the secrets of staying fit.
Good morning, good evening, good night, ladies and gentlemen. This is Cisco of the 3Gs Fitness Podcast. We are three generations, and to the middle we have
Michael, baby boomer,
and to
50 years.
To the far left,
the youngest, Coach Kyle.
Coach Kyle. So I am the representation of the millennials, and today we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. Okay, what do we think about it? What do we know about it? And just kind of give you guys more insight about it and what we also feel would be a better way to work around it. Correct? Correct.
Yeah, correct.
All right, so
Yes, sir.
Based on this definition, intermittent fasting is any of various meal timing schedules that cycle between voluntary fasting and non-fasting over a given period of time. In other words, you don't eat for a period of time each day or week.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is normally about 16 hours
Yes.
of not eating and only eating within an 8-hour time frame.
It
Maybe
is.
less.
And the reason why we're bringing this up, I feel, is we've been noticing a high trend in people using this
Definitely.
way of method as a weight loss and, trying to get a better healthy lifestyle. What do you guys think about that when you guys hear somebody that's like, oh, I'm on intermittent fasting and I'm doing it for weight loss? What's the first thing that you guys think about?
I don't tell them, not to do that. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of for it. Mm-hmm. I think it's not really a bad idea. I think as long as you're getting food in your system, I think, you're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. Where you're fasting, you're not eating anything. I think that's a little bit dangerous, So as far as that goes, I would, if someone came to me and said, hey, I want to try, intermittent fasting, and I would say, hey, okay, do you have a cycle that you're going to use or a method you're going to go by? And if they say, oh, yeah, I did some research on it, and, I'd like to try it. I would say, okay, do you need any advice or any help on what to eat and this and that? I would be for it. Them, as far as that goes.
So you're not against it?
No, not really. I'm not really against it.
What about you, Coach K?
Fasting in terms of weight loss.
Yes, intermittent fasting in terms of weight loss.
In terms of weight loss. I think it is, it can work, but it's not the most efficient way. I'd rather have someone, because when it comes to losing weight, my focus is definitely building muscle. Mm-hmm. So in terms of building muscle, I'd rather have them restrict their calories and spread out their meals throughout the day instead of being in a smaller time window, because then they can constantly spike their protein synthesis each meal that they get.
Okay. And what's one of the most common cycles of intermittent fasting that you've stumbled across?
It's like 12 to 8 or 9 to 5.
So it's
pretty
like
much
8
is
hours.
the only
8
time.
hours. No, 8 hours. But
So
It's like 8 hours
Yeah.
that they eat, and then the rest of the 16 hours they don't eat.
Yeah. So that's one. I think I saw the most drastic one that I feel is on a daily basis, where they only eat for 5 hours and then they don't eat for 19 hours. And so
Yeah.
But the one thing I want to say is when they say eat, they don't mean eat anything. They would rather you when you're going to do that is to eat as healthy as you can. Okay, not just I have a window to eat. I can eat all this, and I'm gonna eat as much as I can.
And that's one thing I feel like when it comes to intermittent fasting, when I see a bunch of like new people tell me, oh, I want to try that or anything like that, and these are like brand new people that are doing it for a weight loss, I always ask them why. And I feel like why, and I've gotten this common answer why, is like it's easier for me to restrict the time that I'm eating than to really restrict what I'm eating. Does that make sense? Like, they feel like the discipline to really calculate the nutritious food is too difficult. But if I still eat the same just for a shorter amount of time, I'll eat less.
I agree with that.
Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like I hear it a lot, and that was one thing that I got when I was working with a lot of people for like their New Year's resolutions. I want to try this.
Yeah.
And that's one thing.
It's just another method of restricting your calories. basically.
Now, do you think it's one of those where, all right, if they are not properly eating during the time that they're allowed to eat, is that like is it still beneficial for them? It's pretty much
No,
no.
I don't think it will. You know, I think if you're going to go that period of time of not eating, I think when you eat, I think you need to put in the nutrients and as we were talking about in your system at that time.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I was just talking to somebody the other day about it, and they were telling me, yeah, but I don't eat for this long, and then I can eat, you know, for this many hours, 5-6 hours, I can eat. And I asked him, I said, what do you eat? He goes, well, I eat what I have, you know. I don't think that is the way it works.
So he's not really like following something like a restricted meal plan or anything like that. He's just eating whatever.
Right. What he has at home. And he says he's lost weight,
Okay.
you know, but is that weight loss real? Is my what I say.
Well, I mean, it's real. He lost it.
Yeah, he lost it, but I mean,
It's imaginary.
Yeah,
It's not imaginary. It's not imaginary
He
weight
lost
loss.
the weight, but if he went back to just his regular eating time and stuff and worked out, do you think he would gain that weight back?
Yeah. I'm not gonna say no to that. I think
Yeah,
he would.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
I think
saying.
intermittent fasting is not sustainable for sure for the long term.
Really, because I feel like I said it's something where I feel
For some people,
For some,
I feel like for
right?
most people, but for some, it's hard.
no. I agree.
I guess it depends on the person.
I know my tone sounded like I was disagreeing. No, I agree. But it's crazy because I think it's one of those where I agree with you. I believe that, you know, the best way to do is fuel yourself throughout the day. Okay. But say if someone allows himself just a restricted time to eat, is there a time preference that you would help that out? So like your client, you know, he's at least he's able to eat during a certain amount of time and he likes what he's doing. You're not going to take him away from doing that, right? Or are you?
Well, no, he's not my client.
Okay, well, whoever. Okay, well,
If he was,
if he was,
He was just telling me about it.
okay, he's telling you about it. But if he was your client, would you tell him to stick to that, or would you tell him to?
No, I would tell him, you know,
Would you suggest? For,
between that window, I think, you know, you need to really manage what you're eating. Because it's important that, you know, you're putting in the right nutrients and calories.
okay. And so, and then now with that time window, do you recommend for them to work out before that time window, or for them to work out after that time window?
Well, you got to look at that time window, you know. Usually they do the fasting, around 5 to or 4 to 8.
Whenever, yeah.
And they don't do anything, you know, don't eat anything, you know. I would recommend, you know, if I had a client that was doing it, I'd say, well, why don't you eat and then come to the gym? You know, at least he has the energy. If he goes in after he hasn't eaten literally all day, almost, he goes in the gym, he's gonna be hungry.
Yeah.
You know,
But there are some people who would work out in a fasted state.
And when do you think? It's,
For example, the guy that's recording, Jose. Jose had actually mentioned that he doesn't have any issues working out on a fasted state.
yeah, but you see how much weight Jose lifts?
A lot.
So I don't think it really matters to him, you know. He's a big guy anyway, you know, and he lifts a lot of weight.
but it's one of those where I feel like I'm not a fan of.
I would agree with you though. I'd want to have someone eat first for the workout.
Well, that's what
I would just
yeah.
say.
I just would-
for like
yeah.
the select few.
Before the select few.
Yeah.
But then now studies. Let's talk about studies. Why do you think intermittent fasting is such? It's such a. By the way, Jose, who's recording, has lost over 150 pounds.
Yes, sir.
FYI, give him a heads up.
Round of applause.
Give him a.
But
Hold on. I have my round of applause soundboard.
He's like 6'3", 6'2".
There you go. Good,
Not like he's
good shit, Jose, behind the camera.
not like he's not like a little guy, okay?
Anyways, the studies,
Anyways.
there's been scientific studies that show intermittent fasting works, and one of the main things is it's kind of used more as a reset, to reset insulin levels, help, kill certain cancer cells and whatnot. And I believe more when it comes to intermittent fasting, weight loss is a byproduct of what the real reason intermittent fasting
it is.
Sure. Yeah. So
It is.
but I feel like a lot of society is all like, wait a minute, that's a way to lose weight.
Yeah.
Wait, let's do it that way instead.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the studies that I showed said that preferably they do prefer the 5 hour where you eat within 5 hours and you don't eat within the 19 hours, because then what the body does is the body is not fueling itself for 19 hours. So then it hits like starvation mode or survival mode. It hits survival mode. So instead of the body burning carbs, it starts getting rid of fat. And that's why I think a lot of people see that and they're like, wait a minute, that's going to be the best way to lose weight.
Yeah.
And we get rid of the fat first. There's 9 calories for 1 gram of fat, and there's only 4 calories for 1 gram of carb. Well, let's get rid of the one that has 9 calories, right? So that's one of the studies that I think people saw was like, oh, okay, the body, hit that survival mode and it just started burning off the fat. And I think that's why I think a lot of people started trending towards, let's implement this towards weight loss, based on what I saw. But I really saw it's like mainly it's more for, like I said, to almost reset the body. The weight loss is just, like I said,
no, that's definitely a good point, and especially the insulin part. Because if for the ones who are overweight and obese, they probably have constant carbs or sugars in their body, right? So their sugar levels are spiked all the time.
Yeah.
So you need to do some sort of reset to reset their insulin sensitivity. Which, if people don't know what that means, let's start with insulin. Can someone define insulin?
It's what's used to break down sugars.
What was that?
Insulin. Insulin is a hormone that
Insulin.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So it helps.
The guy that didn't read a book but just did it.
Yeah, insulin helps. Basically, it's your transporting hormone in the body. It helps partition certain macros like your carbs, fats, and proteins around your bloodstream. Right. So when you have insulin resistance, when you eat too much carbs, then your insulin isn't moving around all the nutrients accordingly. So then it keeps your blood sugar high.
And that's why diabetics.
Yeah, exactly. So if you do like a fasting in terms of resetting, that would be really good, because then it'll bring back the insulin sensitivity. And the next time they eat something that spikes their insulin, which is carbs again, it'll help partition all the sugars around their blood.
See, Mike, you learned
Science.
something new today. Yeah. He's always like, man, Kyle just read books.
That's that book smart.
That's that book?
Yeah. But I will say this about intermittent fasting and keto and stuff like that. I still think that's a temporary weight loss unless you're in that gym
Well, yeah, let's ask this. Okay.
and working out.
So that's a beautiful thing because, like I said, he told us like the book smarts of it. You've got over 50 years in the game. What have you seen when it comes to like maybe working with individuals that are trying either keto or intermittent fasting? What have you personally seen with them when it comes to that and weight loss?
Okay. Well, I did have a client.
Okay.
He was basically like our producer.
Okay. Just say he was just.
He was like six. He was like
Okay,
he was only 6'4".
Okay, yes.
And-
you had a
and-
client that was
yeah,
6'4".
He was like
he was not like
500
anybody in
pounds,
particular.
And he went on keto. He was like 482 pounds.
Okay, so 6'2",
he went on
42.
keto. He went on keto.
Okay.
And then he also did fasting too. And both times he lost a large amount of weight, but he didn't keep it off because he wasn't in the gym consistently.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
wait. Can I
He would
ask real
he
quick?
would
How
take
many
large
pounds did he
breaks.
lose, and for how long was he fasting for?
I had him for 8 years. At one time, he dropped down to 270.
Okay.
He got a little bit like I think the pandemic happened at that time, and he didn't go back to the gym. He kind of got away from keto and then came back. He was almost 400. See, so it's a temporary loss unless you're going to be at that gym. Unless you're going to be like Jose. You're going to be in that gym. Okay? Then it's going to work for you. All right? And if you're not, it's not going to it's going to come back. Because fat cells, they don't disappear. They just shrink.
They just shrink.
shrink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. See, so that's where I think the effect happens when you do keto or when you fast and you don't work out and you stop. You just build the fat cells back up.
Okay.
But if you're working out, that's a little different.
So I think that just comes with any fad diet. Any fad
Yeah.
diet that you do will work until you stop doing it.
Yeah.
You know.
That,
And
that I can agree with.
Most fad diets aren't sustainable because of how aggressive it is.
Okay. So we kind of like talked about, what you've personally experienced and you saw or anything like that. When would there be a time that you might recommend someone to do intermittent fasting, if any?
When would it be a time?
Yeah, when would there be a time? Like if someone were to come up to you for some advice and just like you being the professional, like
somebody just the average person or somebody.
yeah, just an average person. What would that average person need to be doing or striving for in order for you to possibly suggest intermittent fasting?
Yeah, like maybe they have a short-term goal.
Yeah, short term goal, but you try to make sure that you're going to work out at the same time you're going to do this. Do the fasting. Because like I said, you're kind of spinning your wheels when you just do it and you're not working out.
Oh, well, yeah, we all know that or anything like that. So, but I just kind of wanted to get an idea because, like I said, we're not really for it, but we're not even against it either, right?
It's
so
a tool. It's a tool that can be used.
I just feel like it's a very trending
For sure.
tool,
It is, for
especially in the last like 5 years. I feel like it's skyrocketed
Yeah.
very
How
high.
I feel about it, like, let's say there was someone that came to us and be like, yo, I got a wedding maybe in like 2 months from now. Maybe we'll
Like
kind of
him?
sprinkle that in there. yeah, maybe, right? Because then it might bring some results really quick, right?
You gonna
But if we're
fast?
talking about like a lifestyle change that you're just trying to change someone's
so
life
Are you
over
gonna-
time.
Are you going to fast?
I might. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Me and my fiance went to Mexico for my birthday at the in the middle of February, and
Viva Mexico.
and it was all inclusive. And when I vacation to eat. I my vacations are always to eat and relax. I came back from vacation about 7 pounds heavy.
What about New Orleans?
So that's coming up. Oh man, that's coming up. But when I came back from Mexico, I did this water and chicken broth fast for 72 hours. Just to like cleanse me out. It's like, I know I wasn't eating best or anything like that. So the first 24 hours, just water. And then the next 24 hours, chicken broth twice a day with water.
Cleanse out all the alcohol.
Cleansed out everything, man. Yo, well, tell me why I lost 10 pounds in 3 days. I was just like, but the same thing. It was just something to just cleanse me out. I did not use it for something sustainable because then once I got back to like my regular eating, I put on like about 3 pounds and it was just like, all right, cool. So it was just more of like, reset, I had my fun or anything like that. And that's when I would probably, recommend maybe trying out like, some form of a detox, intermittent fasting,
right.
I guess if you want to call it something like that. But it's something where short-term goals, hey, go for it, but know that the minute you reintroduce what you were doing before, your body's going to hit a shock. So I don't know if I would do intermittent fasting right before my wedding. Because the first shot I take, I don't want it to be my last shot either. It's not like, yo, I come in all shredded and things like that. And it's like, all right, we're going to take a shot. Boom, I'm done. I want to remember my wedding day. So it's like, so I'm not, I wouldn't really go with intermittent fasting.
What about you, Kat?
What's up?
How do you feel about it? How do you feel about it?
I
said
you already
short-term
know.
goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I don't personally do it because, again, like I said, my whole focus is muscle building.
Well, you don't really need to, man. I mean,
I don't.
No.
I don't.
Well, like I said, I think it's short-term goal. I mean, bodybuilders probably do it.
Well, yeah,
But so like sometimes like there are moments in my life where I get so busy with work and all that stuff that I start eating less and maybe fast and not eat my breakfast, and then I'll just naturally start losing weight.
I'll make my lifter. She'll fast. She has to because a couple days from the comp, she
gotta weigh in.
She's
right?
like 3 pounds over, and I had time to fast.
Yep.
She hates it, but if you want to make that weight, then that's what you got to do.
So, and that's another thing, short term, right? Maybe a couple of days and things
Couple
like
days.
that.
So it depends on the goal.
Yeah, it depends on the goal. But like I said, you do have that small handful of individuals that can make it a lifestyle that have
That is
lost
true.
150
Exactly.
pounds.
Yeah,
And-
100%.
And that's one thing where it's like, hey, if you can maintain it, then go
That's
for
all that
it.
matters. That's the end of the day. It's
like,
just about consistency.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's
man.
hard. Oh, I believe it because I'm a firm believer where one of my favorite rules that I like to share with a lot of clients, and it's not a rule they need to follow, but you want to consume about 30 grams of protein, as close to 30 grams of protein for breakfast. You want to start your day with a heavy protein dose. And
I would say per meal, not just
no,
breakfast.
per meal, yeah.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
would, because I think breakfast is usually a challenge to get protein.
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's
usually,
true.
yeah,
It's the meal that gets skipped on the most.
and it does,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's the meal that I always tell people. It's like it's the most important one.
Yeah, it is.
I
It
agree
is the
with
most
that,
important one.
100%. Yeah, especially
so-
coming from like sleep and like not having anything in your body. You need to kickstart it with food.
And I like the word. It's breakfast. You're breaking the fast. I was all like, all right, you're breaking the fast because think about it. You go to sleep. Yeah, you. It's funny. The very first time I remember, the very first time someone told me about fasting. It was like I was in my early 20s. They're like, "Oh, I'm doing intermittent fasting." I'm like, "What is it?" "Oh, I just have my first meal at 12, and then I eat till 8." So I'm like, "So you just skip breakfast?" And I was like, "Yeah." And at the time, I would skip breakfast because I was just busy. I was like, so what the hell? I've been intermittent fasting without even knowing it. It was
Right.
just one of those
Right.
things where
Right.
when I was younger, I would always skip breakfast. It was just because I was always on the go,
Right,
and things
exactly.
like that. So it's one of the things that I've always been. It's been around forever, right? It's just I just don't really recommend it for majority of the people. But it depends if if it works for your lifestyle. If you're already skipping breakfast, go for it. You know,
What would you rather recommend?
I would very similar to you. Get about 30 grams of protein per meal if you can, and roughly, like I said, get 4 to 5 meals. And watch. Make sure the calories aren't super high either, too. So, and for weight loss, it's just to me, protein fuels your muscle fuels fat burn in the long run. So that's why I'm a big believer in fueling yourself with protein. Intermittent fasting, if it works for you, cool. I think what would work better, close to what Coach Mike says, during that time window that you are eating, watch what you're eating. Now you're like really, you're restricting your calories, you're restricting your time. That would be, the smarter way to do it. But would it be sustainable? That's the challenge right there. If you can really sustain that for, over a year. I don't think it really is, but
That's hard.
it's hard.
A year?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lifestyle, right? I mean, because very similar.
Do you think?
How long did your client do it? The one that you said that lost like 200 pounds. How long did he do it to lose those 200 pounds?
I'd probably say 6 months.
6 months.
It was 6 months, and then the pandemic hit, and he got off, and it took us 6 months to lose it. Took about a month and a half to put it back on.
Jeez.
See, so that's where you do the fasting. It takes a while to lose the weight. I think with anybody, it takes a longer period of time to lose it, but it's a very short period of time to put it back.
And more.
Yeah, and so you got to really be careful with that, because if you're gonna put a person on it, you got to let them know, if you're gonna have to stay on it for a long term. If you're not, you're gonna have to, when you get off of it, you're gonna have to start working out on a regular basis, to burn the food that you put in.
So let me say this: if the pandemic didn't happen and you were still working with that client, and he lost those 200 pounds in 6 months, and he came up to you and was like, "Hey, Mike, I want to get off to eating." How would you transition him back to like a regular eating schedule?
Take him off of junk food.
Okay, so take off junk food.
Take him off junk food. He ate well, but he loved junk food. That was
Was he
his
eating
problem.
junk food during that time that he
No.
was? So
and it was really hard for him.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was hard for him. It was really hard, especially at work. He would see people, eating, and he can only eat, in the keto, he can only eat like chicken and, ground beef and, bacon and stuff like that, while everybody else was eating like sandwiches, ho-hos and cookies, and he would have to sit there and look at that. He would tell me, he goes, "Man, that's tough, man." He goes, "It's hard."
I haven't heard of ho-hos in a while.
I'm not surprised that when he went off, that's what happened,
Yeah.
because that's the first thing you're gonna go for.
You're gonna go with what you know.
Yeah,
Or what you've
yeah,
remembered or anything like that. Because it's very difficult. Like one thing I tell a lot of people when it comes to weight loss, if you are trying to lose weight, it's because you've built habits that got you there.
Yeah.
And so,
But see, one of the hardest things, I think, when a person loses weight and they put it back, it's hard for them to come back to the gym, because they got to come back and they got to listen to, people. Wow, you lost weight, but man, you put it all back, and that takes a lot of the self-confidence away.
Well, that's why people should be nicer and not say that.
Yeah, but they're not.
And just be like, "Hey, you're back." Just say, "Hey, you're back."
Yeah, that's it. But then
You're gonna be like, "Hey, you're back." Damn, you put on that weight. Oh, now I know why you're back. It's like, no, just hey, you're back.
But no, it's hard for a person to do that, and because that might not happen, but they think in their head that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I said, fad diets work for the short term, but then when you get back to building your regular habits, it's going to mess you up. I've always said this too. Like when I get clients that lose a good amount of weight for like solid 2 months, and then they go out and they have a weekend out like of eating and drinking. I was like, you haven't introduced that kind of food to your body in a while. So that scale right away on Monday is going to shoot up. You're like kind of shocking that body because you haven't really shown that food. So like, if you've been doing something solid for a long period of time and then you go back to your old ways, it's going to really shock your body. And I always tell people, just don't even get on the scale and then jump back on it too. It's like, if you've been doing something for 8 weeks and you have 2 days and you mess it up, hey, you can just jump back on to what you were doing. Those don't let those 2 days.
Don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, don't be too hard on yourself just because the scale shot up 5 pounds. Get back to your eating.
Right.
I guarantee you those 5 pounds will come off right away because your body's gonna level out to where it once was.
Yeah.
I really agree with you.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Jeez,
100%.
Man, you really be drinking tequila today. You've been agreeing with me. Like, we never agreed.
That was water.
But I definitely agree with that. I'm all
There it
about like
is.
having balance in your lifestyle, right? And life is all about finding the perfect balance. And there's always going to be those days where it's like, hey, I ate out. Hey, like I had plans to do something with my homies. I maybe drank a little bit, but as long as you just keep getting back to what you have to do, the next day, I'm like, all right, get back to work. Then you should be good.
That's good.
That's it.
Any final
Don't
words,
stay down.
Mike?
Keep fighting the fight.
Any final words, Mike? Because I feel like you actually did work side by side with someone who did try, a fad diet and whatnot. Any final words you would have for the listeners?
The true way to weight loss. The true way. I'm gonna tell you the true way.
Tell us the true way in 30 seconds. Let's roll.
In the gym. In the gym.
Put that on a shirt. In the gym.
In the gym.
The true way.
In the gym. That's the real way of doing it.
I get what you're saying.
I get what the baby boomer is saying.
Yeah.
Old news.
Old news.
That's
old
it.
news.
Yep.
So, Kyle, what about you?
Get your butt in the gym.
What about you?
Final words?
Yeah.
Or I agree with that.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I get what he's saying.
Man, the
the end of
young
the day,
bucks.
He's
at the end
saying
of the
get
day-
your butt in the gym and start
Wow.
working out
Yeah.
I feel
and
good.
eat healthier.
Increase activity level. Watch what you put in your mouth.
Yeah.
And
And
definitely,
if you need help, hire a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Fitness professionals. We do this for a reason.
we take the guesswork out for you guys, keep you motivated, keep you accountable, educate you as much as we can. Make sure we give you guys plans to follow that to your lifestyle.
Exactly.
And we always just want to make sure people are succeeding and people are living a healthier lifestyle. So with that, I believe we'll be wrapping it up. This was Coach Michael, the baby boomer, Coach Kyle, Zillennial.
Zillennial. Yes, sir.
It's a new one now.
It's a new word.
It is a new one, but hey, I'm right on the cusp.
I'm Coach Siskel. I was part of the Millennials. Thank you. We're the 3 Gs of fitness, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Yes, sir.
Later out.